Welcome back. Well, July 1st is 1 week away, and you know what that means? Thousands of Quebecers will be moving, and the context is very difficult. Every year at this time, we talk about the impending housing crisis, and it keeps getting worse, and I speak to elected representatives of all three levels of government. They keep saying they're doing something, but it's not getting better. And so we'll be having a lot of stories this week and in the weeks to come about the situation. A lot of people won't be able to find homes, affordable or not. And those who do find places to rent are going to be paying 40, 50, 60% of their pay, making it even harder, especially if you have a family. So, some political parties are offering solutions. One of them is the Quebec Liberals. Virginie Dufour is a Liberal MNA representing the riding of Milles-Iles in Laval, and she is the official opposition critic for housing. She's online. Good morning, Virginie.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Well, I'm a bit worried about the situation of housing in Quebec right now.
Me too. And so, what would you do if you were a housing minister? I know the bar is pretty low with Francelin Duranceau, but how would you make things better? What could the Liberals do better than the CAQ?
Well, first of all, we need a major plan. You know, the minister has promised that plan for more than a year now, and we haven't seen anything yet. We need objectives, but smart ones, those specific, measurable, smart objectives, so that we can at least, compare ourselves in time to see if we're getting better or not. We need, and the proposal I made last week, actually, it's based on four major pillars. I do think, and it's, we've talked to so many groups, and we think we need to act on different, like I said, different pillars. So we need to stimulate the housing supply. That's what we're lacking the most right now. But we also need, at the same time, to increase the share of non-market housing. Those that, the rents are kind of, they are growing less, let's say, outside the market.
You mean like cooperatives, like co-ops and stuff like that?
Yeah. For example, the HLM, for example. But yeah, everything that is like controlled, like the rent is controlled. So we need to increase the share of that, the non-market housing for those that need it the most. We need also to facilitate access to home ownership, because it's kind of a domino effect. When someone is a tenant and becomes a home buyer, then we release a rent proposal for for a family that needs it, and it's the domino effect that right now is being stopped because we're not building houses anymore, and we need to help cities to enhance urban housing offer, because there's a lot of places where there are developers that could build, but the truth is the cities cannot support the underground infrastructure, the cost of building them.
So excuse me, Virginie, for interrupting, but so I've got two concrete examples for you. Yep. So the Hippodrome.
Exactly.
So tell me how you would get homes built in the Hippodrome on the Hippodrome site, because right now one of the big obstacles seems to be all the infrastructure that needs to be built, and the cost for that. I've seen estimates around $800 million for all of that, and the city doesn't want to pay for it all, and the Quebec government doesn't seem to want to go ahead. So how would you solve that?
Well, I've been a city councillor for 8 years in Laval, so I've seen the issue, and it's really, really it's really expensive, the cost of, the sewage system, the water treatment.
The streets, and everything,
Everything underground costs like enormous money. And so what we're proposing is a development pact. It wouldn't be for all developments, but for example, the Hippodrome is the perfect example of what we could do there. So the idea is to use, for example, private investors or the Canada Infrastructure Bank or, for example, the la CDPQ Infra, those tax shelter funds that could put money to contribute to financing the infrastructure, but in return, the city would have to allocate a portion of its property tax, the property tax revenues that will be generated once those new developments are done. And so that's the idea of the pact, so that it's private funded, but with the help of the other governments, because it's too much of a burden for the city, and especially the debt increase that it would create for the citizens. It would be too much for such a big development, such as the Hippodrome. Exactly.
Let me give you another example. You must have seen this in the media last week. I'm still in shock when I read that a former gas station site at the corner of Papineau and Laurier, which the city of Montreal bought in 2021, got it decontaminated, wanted to build 45 affordable housing units, didn't find anybody to build it, and now it's a mini golf. So I just can't believe it. So the city of Montreal, when I interviewed the city councilor of the Plateau, she was very nice. She told me, well, we know we just don't have the money, we don't have the interested promoters, et cetera, et cetera. We're doing our best, blah blah blah. So, what needs to happen? And you do have great experience because you've been a city councilor. Yeah. You know how cities work and how hard it is. So, what needs to happen? Because here we have the perfect example. We have a site. It's owned by the city, just like the Hippodrome. This is not like thousands of units. This is actually a feasible project here. I mean, so what could you do as part of the Liberal government to get these projects off the ground? Because the city of Montreal always says it's the fault of the provincial government and the fault of the federal government.
Well, one of the main issue right now for new constructions are the costs. It increased so much in the last few years that it's not cost effective anymore to build housing. So especially rental housing right now, you cannot, if you build right now, you would charge maybe $3,000 a month, just to be able to make a little bit of profit. So what's happening is that when, the developers do their business case and they look at the numbers, they say, well, it doesn't work. So instead, I'm not gonna invest right now. I'm gonna put my money somewhere else. You leave it in the bank and you make more money. So the issue is cost. We need to find a way to lower the costs. There are several ways, and eventually I will release more propose more measures, because I thought of a lot of them. But the first one that we've been saying, it's been, 3 months that we've been asking the Legault government to remove the QST.
Yeah.
So just like the federal government did.
And Ontario, the Ontario government.
In Ontario, exactly. Yeah. So, when you go to Gatineau and in Ottawa, you look at the market there, and you say that in Gatineau, they're not building, while in Ottawa, it's booming. Yeah. And it's true. You have like almost a 10% difference in cost. It's huge. And so, that's the first thing that we need to do. The other issue right now is also the financing. With the rates that increase, the equity that is required is so high that there's a lot of developers that have to make choice. Either I do this project or this project. And so what we're proposing, and this is like brand new, you have not heard that anywhere else, is to, let me just say it exactly the way it's for real estate investors to defer capital gains tax payments when they reinvested their profits, in the new housing construction. So this is like this has been used actually in the United States, and when we see the raise of capital gains tax, we know that it probably will affect the investments in housing. Now we're saying, well, at least could we defer capital gains, and if we're building, if the developer is building a new housing construction, so that way it would help to find the equity for the project.
Very interesting proposal indeed. That's all the time I have, unfortunately. We'll definitely find some time to continue the conversation.
Yes,
There'll be a lot to talk about this summer. Virginie, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too.